Kia ora, morena, ke te pihi a koe. Oh my God, so I'm spilling the tea, guys. I'm spilling the tea. I promised you I'd give you an update. So after I uploaded my very dramatic, emotional, Hollywood-style post, podcast, whatever you want to call it, video, I received a phone call. And everything's been explained to me, what on earth is going on. And this is the show of desperation of a very sad, pathetic little man. But I also bring good news because I can explain what's happened now because I know what's going on. Because it was explained to me last night and I sat down on the bed and I cried and I ran to my kids and I ran to everybody and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. It's actually happening. My prediction came true. Shirley Whittaker, loose lips, and I'm here to spill the tea unapologetically. It's alright, it's the character I'm working on for my show, The Art of Creation. Shirley Whittaker. There's like The View, or if you're in the UK, what's it called, Loose Women? Our show's called Loose Lips. Loose lips sink ships, but I can't, I'm not going to go into detail with my characters, but anyway, the phone call goes like this. You don't need to worry about the stalking charges because they will be dropped, because the accusation that he made isn't even to do with me, but he's brought me in on it for some reason, which proves he hates me so much that he would rather have me under investigation for charges to do with other people than to just admit everything that he's done and just hold his hands up and say, all right, I did it. I did lace it. I did lace the cocaine. I did lace the weed. I did try and kill her. I did steal everything. I did sexually assault her. I did destroy her life. I did destroy her marriage. I did lie about her being suicidal that day. I did lie about her competency as a mother, blah, 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 right? But he didn't, because his ego is so big and he cares about what people think about him, because all narcissists care about what people think about them. And sociopaths as well. The sociopaths and narcissists genuinely care about what people think about them. Psychopaths don't, because psychopaths think they're above everybody else, whereas a sociopath and a narcissist really, really want to portray this image that is false. It's like a false image. They wear a false mask that they imitate off other people that they secretly admire. Empaths in that, because empaths wear their hearts on their sleeves. A creative empath wears their heart on their sleeve for all the world to take a bite. An empath wears their heart on their sleeves. They're kind, they're nurturing and caring. And like I said, he targets mums, like single mums and that, because he thinks that they're going to be more vulnerable and less able to protect and defend themselves. But in me telling my story, a lot of the women that he's had relationships and dealings with in the past who have been hurt by him have been learning from me how to stand up for themselves with him. So what I found out was that he went to the police in Normanton, which has nothing to do, it's 8 miles from me. I got nothing to do with me. I don't know why Normanton. He went to the Normanton police and said that because of something that one of his victims posted online, he started receiving harassment for it, and named me. She's picking on me, I'm being harassed, they're stalking me. They, meaning the victims of the rapes and sexual assaults, the people I've been defending, the women I've been defending, the rape victim in particular, the one that I've been defending, and trying to bring justice for the both of us, was called into the station and was told, you put something online blah, 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 blah. And she basically told her side, and they were like, okay, that's fine, drop charges. But he's named me in it. She put something online that resulted in him getting emails from other people, and I've gotten the blame for it. So how does that work? Has nothing even to do with me, but that's how much he hates me. He will try and drag me down with him any way he possibly can, because he wants to punish me for the fact that I stood up to him. Narcissists lose, like, this is an actual fact, this is what you need to know. When a narcissist loses their battle with an empath or a creative empath, especially a creative empath, because we have the strongest minds for manifestation, they start losing their mind. Like, they literally start losing their mind. And narcissists who lose their supply die young. That's a scientific fact. They start to die because they have nothing to feed on, so they lose their will because they lose hope, and they lose their public image, and the mask falls off, so they slowly start to die. And narcissists tend to not live very long once they lose their supply, and he's lost his supply. Because what I found out last night is that, as I predicted, and you can check my social media because I said it was going to happen, that he would be forced into exile, that people would turn on him. I said Sumo would offer me a job. Like, I when I did the jump, I knew Sumo, there was some sort of offering there with Sumo that was, going to be helpful or help push me forward. But I realized later on that what it was actually talking about was a lot of people from Sumo are supporting me and offering, and former employees and all of that as well, especially his victim, offering support. And, when you're ready to get your company off the ground, we'll show you how to do it. We'll show you the ropes. We'll introduce you to the right people. We'll show you, we'll show you the ropes and let you know what conventions are important to go to, the people that you're going to want to get to know, that sort of thing. And that's from people from Sumo. Whereas he's been getting hounded from people from the public because of something that was posted by one of his victims, and he blamed me for it. Like, I've been implicated in it, even though it has absolutely nothing to do with me whatsoever. I didn't even know these posts were being made. I suspected he was being harassed. I kept saying that the lynch mobs were going after him, and that a lynch mob would go after him. I predicted it. I said it over and over and over again because I know how this ends. Because whether you believe in this stuff or not, if you don't even have to believe in God to know what a gatekeeper is, if you believe in the supernatural. And when you're repeatedly told don't mess with a gatekeeper, and you don't listen, you're going to find out the hard way. You don't mess with a gatekeeper. Because all I have to do, I have spent 51 years going through a trial by fire, eliminating all the impurities in and around my life and within myself, going through multiple ego deaths and, Phoenix rising moments and dark souls of the night, and having to let go of people and, walk through the stoning of people, throwing rocks at my head, as they assumed all of these sort of toxic things about me that weren't true, because they didn't want to face their own demons and all that sort of thing. Because a gatekeeper is a mirror. We hold the mirror up to you and reflect back to you exactly what we see, and what we see is honest. Whether you believe in God or not, whether you believe in the paranormal or supernatural or not, there are people in this world who are put on this earth to be judges on behalf of your ancestors, and I'm one of them. My bloodline, me and my boys, my bloodline is a gatekeeper bloodline. We are ordained by the ancestors and the gods, the almighty consciousness of all that is holy and pure and trustworthy and just and true. We are the representatives of that here. We are like the council of elders for the ancestors. We speak on behalf of them, which means we are given the right to judge people here on earth, judge their character, even judge ourselves. I even have to pull myself up on certain behaviors and traits that were still lingering from leftover, remnants of my toxic past. Even I've been having to pull myself up and cleanse myself and purify myself. I have to do it all the time because of the fact that I can't control the people that I'm around. I don't know who's going to come in and out of my life on a daily basis, whether in real life or on social media. But I can control how I deal with them, and I can control how I react to them. And if I react impulsively, if I swing my sword a bit too soon, I have to pull myself up on that, and then I have to humble myself and admit, I maybe, got a bit carried away. But it's that I've been trained to jump on a trigger. My brain reacts to things like a trigger, like a spring. And the second anyone lies to me, I get that ping, and then I watch and I observe and I absorb everything they're saying between the time they lie to the time I figured out whether, they're just somebody who, because there's a lot of people that lie that, they don't mean to lie. There's a lot of people that lie that absolutely intend to lie. There's a lot of people that lie because they're embarrassed or to save face or, whatever. And, you've got to put your big boy pants on when you're a gatekeeper, or when you're coming up against a gatekeeper, because truths will be exposed. And if you have judged someone too quickly because you're like a spring trap, you're set to go off at any moment the second somebody's deceptive, like the web, how a web pings when a spider's on it and they feel the vibration, so they jump in. Even I've had to pull myself up and go, I may have misjudged that person, or I might have got that situation wrong, because I'm so hyper vigilant, because I have to keep my energy pure because of the fact that I help people die. I sit with people when they cross over to the light. I'm also called to people through time jumps and that, through, my multi-location, bilocation jumps and all that. When I'm doing my time jumping, I'm called to people to witness their death, to record it while walking them over to the light. And when you're dying, as in when you're born, you are at your most vulnerable, spiritually and energetically. And I have to keep my biorhythmic parameter pristine and pitch perfect clear, so that they can cross over without any hindrance or blockages on their part, when they, travel to the underworld to have their judgment, to cross over to the afterlife. If it's children and, innocent, like the pure and innocent, they don't need to be judged. They just cross straight over, and then, I will walk them to the gates. My sister does it as well, but whereas I'm with just anyone that calls me out in the universe, regardless of, I'm there for anyone in the future who needs me to document it for the past, for history. My sister, she's just drawn to terminally ill people, and like people with dementia. That's what she specializes in, and she's incredible. The way that she prepares their bodies after death. She was saying about how, she puts talcum powder on the bedding and that, so that, they smell like she washes them and does their hair and makeup and puts perfume and stuff on them and that too, so that when the family come for viewing, and the funeral directors and that come and pick up the bodies, and that they're smelling nice, they're looking nice and that, because she has respect for how they're going to be presented in the afterlife, because that's what Māori people do. Māori people, we prepare our loved ones for the afterlife before they die, and then we sit with them for the 3 days after they die, before we bury them, to help them get used to the transition. And then we have a whole year of allowing ourselves to grieve for that person. And then on the year to the day, that they died, we unveil their headstone. Their headstone is not unveiled until a year to the day that they died, because we give them the year to transition and get used to being separated from their whānau here on earth, um, and rest and recover from their life while they are in the womb of their new mother. 9 months pregnancy, 3 months of dealing with the shock and grief of and the trauma of death, and that, and that's a year, that's 12 months. By the time you have the unveiling, the person that has died would be roughly around about 2-3 months old in their new life. And mighty people are with our loved ones from the minute they start to die to a year to the day after they die. And then we grieve, because the unveiling is often more traumatic for mighty people than the actual tangi itself. And we grieve, and then we say our goodbyes, and then we celebrate their life forevermore, making sure that we remember them and never forget them. We have our photos and that of our ancestors and that around our home and that, to keep them present and always in our memories, and then they're never forgotten. And we pass those stories and traditions down to our children and our grandchildren and stuff like that. So this is why I have to be very careful who I'm around and how I react to things, because of how energy works. If I absorb it, I'm going to pass it on to other people. And I'm not like Chris. I don't blame innocent people for things other people have done. And I will not take other people's trash with me to somebody else's clean home. So so I have to be careful. If I do anything that is slightly sort of like, as soon as I start questioning, am I right about this? I will sit with it and I will watch and observe, and then I will either be proven right that, yeah, you were right, like you couldn't trust this person, or it was like you may have been a little bit hasty there, and then I will go to the person and say, I'm sorry the way I reacted. I was having to look at everybody. I have to put everybody under a telescope, and a telescope. Well, you kind of microscope. Well, what I said microscope, but a telescope would be the same thing. Their consciousness is out in the universe. It is how I reach them, by tapping into the consciousness of the universe, of their what you would call Akashic records. So yeah, but microscope. Let's just say microscope. I have to put everyone under a microscope, regardless of who they are. I have to question everyone for every reason, because I have to make sure that the people I'm dealing with going forward after my interaction with them are protected and taken care of. This is why you don't mess with a gatekeeper, because we are representatives of the Council of Elders, the council of your elders, your ancestors, your deceased loved ones. We work on behalf of them because they don't want their reputations ruined because of things that their descendants do in the future. So they put people like me, like gatekeepers in that here, after we have passed the test. And I've got my dream up on Instagram, where I had the dream where I stood in front of the judge, and my everything was brought up, and all the people that I'd ever loved and lost, all the people that I'd worked for, all my ancestors, everything were in this dream. And I was then told, you have, like, we trust your judgment. We know you're going to do the right thing. And then I was granted permission in this dream to be the representative for the Council of Elders, which is the council of your ancestors. I was given permission. And he messed with a gatekeeper. And the thing is, he knew coming into this relationship with me what the prophecy was. He was my original protector. He was supposed to be my protector, the one who, kept me safe from people like him and his cult and my students and that. He was supposed to be the first. But he failed the test, and now, of course, he went the other way. He chose the wrong path. The ones that chose the wrong path, are now being dealt with by the law and karma and justice, karmic justice, because they didn't listen, because people thought, oh, she's nuts. Because people who don't have faith, whether it's in a god or your own ancestors, if you don't have faith in who I am, it means that you don't have faith in your ancestors. Irrespective of whether you believe in a god or not, a gatekeeper has nothing to do with that. A gatekeeper is like a karmic judge who works on behalf of your ancestors. So if your parents are dead, or your grandparents are dead, or if you've got siblings and all of that who are dead, it's me they send to check up on your spiritual and moral compass, to push you in the right direction, because it helps them evolve and upgrades their genetic bloodline and their descendants that come after you. It helps them to have the purest genetics, evolving the bloodline after they're gone. And they want to make sure that the people who represent that bloodline in the future are the people who deserve to carry their name and to carry their genetics, because we've all got people in our history, in our genetic history, who have accomplished incredible things. Whether it was that, they managed to row a waka from one end of the earth to the other, just doing that alone, the first one in their family to do that alone, or whether they were presidents or, dignitaries or famous or whatever. We've all got people in our history, in our family bloodline, who have achieved incredible things, and achieved a level of intellect and spiritual growth and wisdom and understanding that is so pristine and so highly respected in the afterlife, that they don't want anyone, including their own family members, doing anything to soil or tarnish their name and reputation, because your name, your last name, is like, to your ancestors, it's as good as money. And the worth of your name will determine the worth of your integrity, because someone's name holds a lot of weight. A person's name holds a lot of weight. And if you are someone like me, who comes from warriors and royals and, military people, and like my Fraser of Lover ancestors, oh God, was it NATO? We were one of the founders of NATO. I think it was NATO. And I know that we saved a lot of forest in Canada as well. I think it was NATO. I'm pretty sure it was NATO. One of the Fraser of Lovetts was founding, and like we had Callaghan prime ministers and all of that. So it might not have been good prime ministers, but like my family's names carry a lot of weight in history, because they've done incredible things. They built hospitals and have airports named after them and things like that, because they did wonderful things. And they don't want people like me coming along and ruining that reputation. And that's exactly what Chris has done, which is why then his grandmother came to me in the dream and apologised on his mother, Caroline's mother, Helen. She came to me in a dream and apologised for his behaviour. She said she was going to help me take him down. I did post it on my Instagram. And it's everything that I said was going to happen is happening. And so now he went to the police, and I'm being investigated for stalking. I don't even know how somebody posting something online that resulted in him being harassed by other people. I don't know how that's stalking for me. I had nothing to do with it, but that's how much he hates me. But the good thing is that he went to the police, and he said to the police, because of the people that I raped and sexually assaulted and tried to murder and steal the work out from under, because they whistle blew, which is not against the law. I have to keep repeating that. Because we whistle blew, we've made it impossible for him to get work. Nobody will give him a job Nobody wants to have anything to do with him. He has been blacklisted in the games industry, which is exactly what I said would happen. And now he's going into exile. He's been lynch mobbed, which is exactly what I said was going to happen. Remember, they go gather in they gather in the streets, grow larger in number, getting angry with the turning of each page, getting angry with the turning of each page or something. It's all up on my Instagram. I said it was going to happen because God said it was going to happen. God keeps saying in my posts over and over and over and over again, I'm tearing the tower down of anybody who told me, who calls me out for choosing Debbie to be the gatekeeper. And now it's exactly what's happening. I warned people. I warned them because that's what we do. And, you know, I'm a Scorpio. Scorpions will warn you when their tail comes up, that's a warning. And a scorpion will only strike as a last resort, as a self-defense mechanism. And a karmic judge is no different. We give you enough warnings to give you a chance to redeem yourself, to recorrect your mistakes, to right your wrongs, to give you a chance to confess, to give you the chance to come clean. And if you don't, and you continue to push it and break the law and break karmic laws and offend your ancestors, that's when they call me in. I sit in the prayer position and I wait for the call. And when I get the call, that's when I come in. And that's exactly what I did with Chris back in June of 2022, and I've been doing it right up until now, except I wasn't listened to before, I wasn't heard before, because I was talking to people who didn't have faith and who were blinded by the fact that he was the shiny thing who knows how to use words to change the way people see the world, a master manipulator. He knows how to manipulate people's minds by the words that he speaks, which is exactly why I had Stockholm Syndrome, domestic abuse victim for nearly 25 years, even after we weren't even married anymore, even after we were divorced. I was still a victim of domestic abuse and suffered from such severe mind manipulation that I got Stockholm Syndrome. And I'm still trying to recover from that. I've had to cure myself of Stockholm Syndrome and PTSD. But the great thing is that because now I know what to do, I've been able to help a lot of his victims who have been coming to me over the last year and a half, so distraught and upset by the realization that he wasn't who they thought he was. They were suffering emotional and mental breakdowns from it, and then I was able to deprogram them and help put them back on the path because I had to do it with me, so I know how to do it with other people, which is why when I start my gaming company, the Art of Creation Foundation, my gaming slash animation studio rather, because we're not just going to be making games. I'll be making sure that all my staff are happy, whether it's construction workers, security guards, people who work in my bakery, whatever, like, you know, whatever. I'll be making sure that they are all balanced and calm and the best representatives for their ancestors um, because they're helping me make and change history for a lot of victims of human trafficking and war. So, a lot of children who are victims of trafficking and war. So, I have to know, I have to choose my people, my staff wisely because their ancestors insist on it, because they know the importance of what's about to happen and they don't want anybody putting a black mark on their family name. So, yeah, so I have to be on the ball when it comes to who I let through those doors or into my life or into my business or into my science or whatever. So So that's the thing. So he went to the police, he cried like a little girl, tried to blame me for something that didn't even have anything to do with me, like nothing to do with it whatsoever. It's like I just happened to be in the store at the time it was robbed, and yet I got blamed for the robbery. You see what I mean? So and that's, because his victims are starting to speak up, because I've given them the courage to start speaking up, which is exactly what I wanted to do the minute he made me a victim, which is why I've made this whole fight, this whole battle public, because now I've armed his victims with their own weapons. And now, by me, keeping you informed on what's happening with him, I can now arm you to fight your own perpetrators. So you can be warriors too, regardless of whether you're a man or a woman. It's why I've made this whole thing from the second it happened until right now public, because now in the future people will be able to go through all of my past and see not only how much I ascended and what I did to heal myself, but exactly what I did to get justice. Um, Standing up to people like the NHS and the British government and social services and everybody else that punished me for being a better mother and father than he was a human being because of racism and ignorance. Because people don't understand physics, kill her. Because people don't understand the supernatural, kill her. Because people have no faith in God, even though some of them did claim to be people of faith, kill her. And not just force her to take medication that kills her, that is killing her, like we're watching her die in front of our eyes, but we're still shoving those pills down, even though her stomach split right open and she's got pus oozing out of her C-section scars and her hernia repair surgery scars. Even though she's stinking of rotting flesh, we're still going to keep shoving those pills down because we don't like the fact that that little indigenous girl is saying things we don't understand. So kill it. If we don't understand it, kill it. If it doesn't make sense to whatever it is we're trying to prescribe, kill it. Because they're not scientists, they're not doctors. They go to medical school, but they're not doctors because they didn't even know that anaphylactic shock doesn't necessarily kill you. One of the doctors screamed at me and said, "Don't you know I have power and control over what happens to you?" I said, "No, you don't." He said, "You keep saying that we're making you go into anaphylactic shock." He said, "If that was true, you'd be dead." I said to him, "Anaphylactic shock doesn't always cause death. You know that, right?" And I sent a link to the NHS's own website on anaphylactic shock, which I sent to the quote unquote community care nurse, which I have no issues with Tracy. She tried her best. She was a good person. She trusted me. She believed me. She defended me. So I'm never ever going to say a bad word about her. I was just offended that I was given her in the first place because she was to hold my hand through coping with my own indigeny, which is what offended me. When she came to me and said, "I've been learning up about Māori people so I can understand you a bit better," I was so offended by that. You shouldn't have to learn what it is to be Māori. You should just accept that I'm Māori. I shouldn't have to explain my Māoridom to you. Why the hell have you been, taxpayer money has been paid to give someone a job where they have to look up what it is to be Indigenous so that they can walk someone through their own Indigenous recovery? Do you know how sick that is? Do you know how illegal that is? But I took it. And I said to her, "I'm going to play the game and I'm going to do everything you tell me to do. But once I get out of here and I get justice, I'm going to hold every single one of you responsible for how I was treated." Simply because they saw a white skin and didn't see the black blood underneath. And when I revealed the black blood, they thought, "But this black blood is talking about physics." And biorhythmic engineering. Whoa, like that. Whoa, what is this language? We don't know this language. We only know antipsychotic medication. We only know prescriptions. That's the language we know. What's this she's talking about? The consciousness of atoms and biorhythmic engineering and natural telepathy and, trees talking and what madness. But then what I've done is now I have been able to do my own investigation because I know that when the day comes when I get to stand up in court with a lawyer and the police and blah, 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 I can say, here's my evidence. Look, scientists hooked this up to a tree and this is the sound the tree made. And I say that I can hear the sound that trees make. They said I was nuts. Science has proved me right. Money, please, money in the bank. And then I get to build the Art of Creation Foundation and start making the games and movies and that and my dating app based on my life and my journey and my story and everybody I've had to fight and come up against. And I've turned that into comedy and, action games and animated movies and stuff that hold Indigeneity in the highest regard because we deserve nothing less than the respect of everybody else who came after us because we came first. Without us, nobody else would exist because we were the ones, Indigenous people were the ones that were brave enough to get off Africa, carve a boat out of a tree, and sail across the waters to see what was on the other side. So that hasn't stopped for me. I've been sailing the seven seas of the airways and bandwidths of, satellites and consciousness of everything that all in and is, to see what's on the other side, which is exactly, physicists and astrophysicists and all of that. That's why we exist, to see what's on the other side of the edge of the universe. But when they do it, they're held in high regard. But when an Indigenous person does it, it's a crime punishable by unlawful incarceration. I was unlawfully locked up and systematically poisoned to deny my faith in my indigeneity, which will be done in hell over my dead body. And it's the thing that my ex-husband and my former students and everybody else that he got involved set out to do, was to offend my faith in my indigeneity, to make people look at God and Māori people, Indigenous people, in a disgusting, uneducated, immoral, deflammatory kind of way. And like I said, in hell over my dead body will I let that happen. So that's the tea. So now, so he went to the police and I'm under investigation for something that somebody else did because he hates me so much that he wants to punish me for everything else other people are doing. He's holding me responsible for the actions of other people that have nothing to do with anything that I've posted online. So that's the tea. So I'd give you an update, let you know how it's all going. The appointment's been moved for 8 days' time. I don't know what's going on, but they changed the appointment on me, and I'm like, because I was really gearing up, like I'm ready for battle, I'm ready for war. And they've changed it, so I was like, So I'll just keep posting updates and letting you know how everything goes, and But when I got that phone call last night and it was all explained to me, I sat down and I cried. Because I was like, it's finally happening. Everything that I said was going to happen is happening. Everything that I said was going to happen to him and everybody else involved around him is happening. The other thing I would like to say publicly, even though I'm holding Sumo Digital publicly responsible for the way my sons and I have been treated online with their little secret spies and that, trying to throw me, throw like throw me out of the game, so to speak. I have got more evidence that I'm about to present to the police in regards to that, but I need to let people know that it is not everybody at Sumo, because there are a lot of people at Sumo still currently working there who are on my side, who are very proud of me, who are offering a lot of support when this is over to help my boys and I get our company off the ground, to introduce us to the right people, to come and celebrate with us when this is over and we throw our, we've been saying since day one, when this is over, we're going to throw a huge party. Um, So there's a lot of people from Sumo that we will be inviting to our celebration. There will be people in the West Yorkshire Police Force that we will be inviting to our celebration. I am not condemning a whole for the actions of a few. I don't do that. I'm not allowed to do that. I can be as mad as heck as I want at a police officer for disrespecting me in some kind of way, like PC Violet did with her lying on record, because that, like, oh, it irks me when people do things legally that are illegal. When they go to the police and make false statements and sign documents and say, this is the truth, this is a sworn statement, I am hereby telling the truth, but it's a lie. That drives me up the wall. There's nothing I hate more than somebody who lies on a legal document. It I can't stand it. I should have probably been a lawyer or a judge, or like in forensic. I mean, I wanted to go into forensics. I should have gone into forensics or been a physicist, but I can't do maths. So, I'm not smart enough for that. But I probably should have gone into law. I should have been involved in law somehow, because my DLPFC, my dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, is so tightly wound like a guitar string that the second there's anything that piques my interest, that is off about someone, boom, I'm on it. Like, as quick as you turn on a light, I'm on it. I can't help it. Like those boys that got stabbed at the back of the ex's house. The second I heard that baby calling out, when I looked out that window and I saw what was going on, because it happened in such a flash, and that baby sat up and he put his hand out and he said, help me, please help me. Before he'd even gotten the last syllable out, I was down the stairs at the back holding him. I didn't even think that they could have come back and chopped me up as well. I didn't even think. Whereas Christopher Black stood on the doorstep and just watched the whole thing and let me deal with these 3 victims who were vomiting, bleeding, guts spilling out, foot hanging off. It wasn't until I yelled for my sons to come and help me that he jumped in and took the phone off my son and he stood in the distance and started, telling everybody what to do and, putting everyone into position. And then at one point, because the boy whose foot was chopped off almost was trying to drag himself away, and his pals were trying to drag him away, and I was literally having to fight men by myself, 2 men, while protecting this boy with his foot being dragged, foot hanging on by a thread, while Chris sat there. It was only because I had to fight these men to protect their other boy, that he came and held the tea towel down on the other boy's guts that was hanging out, because I had been trying to hold on to it with, like, I had one hand on him, I had my foot on the other boy. I was trying to fight these men, but I did it, and I didn't even think twice about it. And everybody else just stood around and watched. But and this is why I need a protector, because the second I hear anything, like Superman, my clothes come off. I'm standing in my superhero costume, and I am super mum, and I'm there, and I'm doing whatever a mum has to do for whoever it is that I'm looking after, even if they're 80 years old. The mum instinct kicks in. So, but I'm grateful for this whole experience because I didn't realise how strong I was. And now the life that I am getting, and the people who are in my life, and the people who I love in my life, know my story and love me because they're so proud of what I've overcome. And these people, I can guarantee you, every single one of them has stood up against other people and even groups of people to defend my name and my honour. And these are the people that I take with me in the future, including members of staff from Sumo and the police, because I have had people in the West Yorkshire Police come to me and say, you can do this, I believe in you, do not give up, keep fighting for justice. And so it's people like that, that I will never hold individuals responsible, or I will never hold groups of people responsible for the acts of individuals. You can't do that. It's not right. You cannot judge somebody for the actions of somebody else. You can be in the same room as a robber, but it doesn't make you a thief, So yeah, so anyway, that's the thing. So I have to go like in 8 days, like the Monday after next. But something tells me there's going to be some rather big developments by that point. So, but you can see everything that I said was going to happen up on my Instagram and Twitter and all of that. You can see it all. I said word for word exactly how this was going to play out, and it's exactly what happened because it's exactly what God said was going to happen, which I also posted on my social medias as well, because we give you warnings before we strike. So you have to be held responsible for your own actions. How you deal with what happens to you is solely on you and nobody else. And he did this to himself, but he's trying to place blame on his victims, and I'm not going to have that. So yeah, so that's the tea, guys. So I'll keep you posted, and I'm so happy. Like I just everything when I found out that he's complained about being unemployable, that people are shutting doors on him, that he's missing opportunities because of what his victims and I have been speaking out about. It was the happiest day of my life, because then I knew everything's turned, because he's been making out to my boys and everybody else like he's got this job and everything's fine, and I think he's been living on Sumo's payout, because Sumo, I think, paid him off, and I think that's what he's been living on, giving people the impression that he's got a job or something, or setting up this business, but in actual fact, it's all been a lie. He's made the whole thing up because nobody will touch him. When people found out the truth, because my evidence was undeniable, people thought, that's who you are. And you tried to bring me in on this. So now they're having a go at him and saying, why did you lie to me? Or why give Debbie her kids back? Because I've been told that's what a lot of people are saying. I was told that in 2022 and 2023. People have been going to him and saying, give Debbie her kids back. Like, you don't even deserve them. Like, you're a bad person. She's a good person. Give her kids back. What have you done? And he doesn't like it. So give me my kids back. And then you can do your time, or go off into exile, do whatever it is you have to do, and leave us the hell alone. Because that's all we wanted in the first place, was just to be left alone, so that we could go off and make our video games and make our products and have our store and make our yummy food and that, to raise money to look after children who have no one looking after them, who have come from situations in their life that are 10 times 10 billion times far worse than anything he put me through. Nothing I've gone through even compares to what some of these kids on the borders are going through, and what these kids that have been rescued from traffickers, and these kids in Yemen and Syria and Lebanon and Israel and Palestine and all of that, doesn't even come close to what these kids are going through. But I'm going to make sure that their journey ends a lot better than mine when it began, because Chris and everybody else that did this to me and my sons are going to pay for it. So, just so much is going on. I can't praise my neighbours enough. They've just been so wonderful. So, I've got a lady across the hall. I was told she's deaf. She lives with her son. She's always watching out for me, collecting my little parcels at the door, and she keeps saying to me, "You're right, you're good," and I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." You know, "You settling in?" I'm like, "Yeah." You know, I just love them. I really love them. I love my retirees and my, my neighbours, and that they're good people. It's nice living around so many nanas. I'm surrounded by nanas and really strong, moral men. And I'll say that because, and I'll have to explain this too. Yeah, I'm, I'm surrounded by good, moral men who have said to me, if he turns up at your door, if he does anything, if he comes near you in any way, shape, or form, you come to my house, you come to my flat, you give me a call, and I'll go and deal to him. Because everybody here knows my story. Word spreads like wildfire in neighbourhoods like mine. And the support has just been incredible. Just absolutely incredible. I've even had bus drivers have my back. So, I just have the most amazing love in my life. I'm in love with love. That's all I'm going to say. So much is happening, so much is going on that I can't talk about yet, but I will soon. And let's just say I was spot on. I had to go through a wee dark night of the soul. I had to look at my life and decide what direction I wanted to go in. And once because I was at a crossroads and I had to make a decision, and I made that decision based purely on the fact that I decided to choose me and my niece. I didn't choose either path. I'm not going left or right. I'm going straight through the middle, heading towards my niece. And in making that decision, it changed an outcome for me that opened a whole new door in my life that has changed everything for me in terms of love and relationships. And it's pure, it's honest, it's genuine, it's faithful, it's loyal, it's moral. And it's all mine. I get to bask in it for the rest of my life because I'm now finally around people who get me. And even if they don't get me, they love me anyway because they're proud of how strong I've become. And since throwing off the mask of whatever it was that people thought I was, when people finally saw the real me, when their eyes were cleaned and the rain was cleared and they got to see the truth of what it was, they realised I was somebody worth loving and somebody worth defending. So yeah, so don't you worry about me, guys, because I'm on a high with nothing in my system because I found the right kind of love in my life, not just from other people, but for myself. And now I can walk away from this with my sons by my side and my little collective walking alongside us with my head held high, which is exactly when I made that video. The day he got me locked up, I said I get to walk away with my sons and my head held high. And I was spot on. So there you go. So check my Instagram and that. Start from the beginning. Well, start from. Well, I know I'd start from the beginning. Anything. I had a dream. God said anything like that, and read them, because you'll see that I predicted this whole entire outcome, even with the cocaine and opioids in my system, because God's love is more powerful than any drug man can make. God's love is the drug. That's why when you're in the presence of the atomic frequency, when you're standing in the frequency of creation, or the God frequency, it is pure. It's a higher love. You get high off it. It's a dopamine serotonin rush that no drug on this earth can even come close to. So yeah, love is the drug. So there you go. So I will keep you posted, and yeah, just look after yourselves and don't give up. Fight the fight. Indigenous lives matter. Mwah.